Urgent! Steelers fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Steelers star reveals thoughts on playing between DK Metcalf and George Pickens. The Pittsburgh Steelers may not have a quarterback for 2025, but the pass-catching core is going to be top-notch. Earlier this offseason, the Steelers made a trade for former Seattle Seahawks wideout DK Metcalf. He'll add to the talent that's already there and play opposite the much-maligned George Pickens and tight end Pat Freiermuth. Pickens was criticized last season for sometimes not playing through downs and for poor route running, but Freiermuth thinks the three of them will form a stout offense to defend. I've talked to George Pickens a decent amount this offseason. GP's a great guy. He's good to have in the locker room. Obviously, stuff happens on the field, but that's just part of football and being a competitor. He cares, he tries a lot, he works hard. He's a hell of a talent as well, Freiermuth said. So having him and DK on the outside, obviously with me in the middle of the field, is going to cause defense a lot of conflict. I know GP is ready to work with DK, and GP is never shy of competition, so he's going to rely on DK for his advice and stuff like that. But GP's ready to roll for sure. Freiermuth isn't wrong, but it all depends on who's throwing the passes. And right now, that's going to be Mason Rudolph. And for all he does on the field, he doesn't instill fear in any defenses. That's something the Steelers will need to figure out sooner than later, as they continue to play the waiting game with Aaron Rodgers and watch quarterbacks fly off the board before the team picks at number 21. Pausing this news just to say that. If you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest, the black and gold news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks! Now let's get back to the news. Ex-NFL QB pitches trading Dak Prescott to Steelers in outrageous move. Former NFL quarterback Kurt Benkert pitched an outrageous trade that would ship Dallas Cowboys QB Dak Prescott to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. During dead periods on the NFL calendar, the Dallas Cowboys are often brought up in ridiculous scenarios. Usually, the stories run rampant about the team being in the mix for another team's disgruntled star player. Well, here we go again. Former NFL quarterback Kurt Benkert pulled out one of the silliest trade proposals you will read by suggesting the Cowboys should trade Dak Prescott, who has a not-rate clause and massive cap hit, to the Pittsburgh Steelers for former Defensive Player of the Year TJ Watt, who wants to be one of the highest-paid players in the league. Watt recently raised eyebrows when he posted a photo of himself giving the peace sign on social media. The cryptic message made many believe he is not happy with how contract negotiations are going. Benkert suggests the Cowboys hand the keys to the offense to Joe Milton III and trade Dak and the number 12 overall pick for Watt and the Steelers' number 21 pick. It is an outrageous proposal that would never work. How would the Cowboys afford to pay Micah Parsons as the highest-paid non-quarterback in the league, cover Prescott's contract, and pay TJ Watt what he wants? Nothing is impossible when Jerry Jones is involved, but people have to be realistic. The NFL draft can't get here soon enough. Pittsburgh Steelers insider drops massive Aaron Rodgers update that will excite fans for weeks. Pittsburgh Steelers fans have been anxiously waiting for former Green Bay Packers and New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers to make a decision on the 2025 NFL season. After being released by the Jets earlier this offseason with a post-June worst designation, Rodgers did not exactly have a long list of teams lining up to bid on his services. In fact, the Steelers were really one of just two teams that expressed genuine interest, and the other team, the New York Giants, has since signed two veteran quarterbacks. Despite the fact that Pittsburgh is the only team currently willing to add him to their roster in 2025, Rodgers has not signed a contract with them. There is a strong indication, though, that he will. The only question is when. Aaron Rodgers will more than likely play for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. As the NFL draft is 2 weeks away, many have begun to wonder if Rodgers is really seriously considering signing with Pittsburgh or if he will just simply retire. Nick Farabaugh of Penn Live, however, has some very interesting updates and revelations on what has become a drawn-out courtship. On the rumors that the Steelers do not know what Rodgers is thinking, Farabaugh wrote, "Sources tell Penn Live the Steelers and Rodgers have constantly communicated with one another since his visit to Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago." Two sources described Rodgers as actively engaged and said he has taken the initiative to drive interest, This is great news for Steelers fans who are concerned about their team being left in the dark regarding Rodgers' intentions and thought process. This revelation seems to indicate that Rodgers is certainly leaning towards playing for Pittsburgh in 2025. To add on to that, Faribault wrote, "The more interesting nugget I picked up was how his visit with the Steelers even came to be. Rodgers called the Steelers on a whim to set it up, with his travel already booked to Pittsburgh," sources told Penn Live. Pittsburgh adjusted plans, which included Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan heading to Michigan Pro Day to stay in Pittsburgh for the impromptu visit that Rodgers put together. Rodgers also asked for DK Metcalf's number to put together their workout. Interestingly, the in-person meeting between Rodgers and Steelers brass was not set up by the organization. It was set up by the four-time NFL MVP. He knows how important it is for coaches and general managers to be present at pro days, so one may assume that his interest is genuine as their meeting took place during Michigan's pro day. Why is it taking so long? Only Rodgers can answer that, and he is not talking to anybody, at least anybody that will reveal his thought process to the public. That being said, it sounds like the future Pro Football Hall of Famer will be suiting up for the Steelers in 2025. That should not, however, take away from Pittsburgh's intentions of taking a long, hard look at possible young quarterbacks that they could develop in the upcoming NFL draft. Insider Steelers love this potential George Pickens replacement. One insider believes the Pittsburgh Steelers could replace George Pickens with a 2025 draft pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers have seemed to have fixed the wide receiver issues that plagued them last season. Following the signing of DK Metcalf and entering the final year of George Pickens' contract, the Steelers look to have a much improved wide receiver room from the previous season. Despite this, rumors have swirled about a possible trade of George Pickens in order to get something out of his contract due to the fact that him resigning seems unlikely. This late into the offseason, the Steelers' possibilities for replacements have dwindled, so they are likely to keep him to begin the season. At minimum. Therefore, some analysts have begun to talk Pickens replacements. Bleacher Report's James Palmer has chosen a player from the upcoming NFL draft, naming Jaden Higgins of Iowa State. On a Bleacher Report livestream last week, Palmer mentioned Higgins as a possibility for the team when the draft comes around in 2 weeks. "There's a lot of people who believe George Pickens' time is limited," Palmer said. "It's why they did the DK deal. It's why they paid DK what they did. You don't pay both of them that. Do they look for a high-volume number 2 guy like a Jaden Higgins? Man, would they love to have him. I know they would love to have him." While taking a receiver in the coming draft would probably benefit the Steelers significantly, it seems like not the best idea to rely on what has been a consensus middle-round pick by scouts to be the upcoming second wide receiver for the team. It is possible it works out, but the chances of a third-round wide receiver becoming the immediate second option for the team would likely be a stark change from the current group that the Steelers are relying on. Steelers trade with Eagles rumored for best running QB. Could Jalen Milroe be the next Jalen Hurts? And if so, could the Philadelphia Eagles be involved in making that unveiling happen for their in-state rivals? The Eagles are preparing for a first pick at number 32 in this NFL draft, and the Pittsburgh Steelers make a lot of sense there as a partner, as one trade rumor has it. Pittsburgh is in need of a quarterback, even if they choose to move forward with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback, or better said, even if the aged Rodgers chooses them. While the Steelers could choose to target a player like Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart with the 21st overall pick, the expectation is that won't be happening, as they might go much earlier. But what if the Steelers work their way around the draft by hooking up with the Super Bowl champs in Philly in a way that results in Pittsburgh finding a way to land that pick no 32, where the use of a first round for Alabama star Milroe feels like a smart fit? Milroe has drawn interest from the Steelers, with head coach Mike Tomlin even meeting with the signal caller during the pre-draft process. If Pittsburgh has fallen in love with Milroe, who is the best running QB in this draft, the team figures to do everything it can to figure out a way to get him. If the price is right, back in 2020, we recall, the Steelers had interest in Jalen Hurts, and it just so happens he is a fine comp for Milroe. Instead, back then, Hurts was of course taken by the Eagles in the second round, and he's become a franchise QB. Can Pittsburgh make up for that decision with a selection of Milroe? Let's keep our eyes on the Steelers' Eagles buzz here. And now, Steelers fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for the Black and Gold. I'll be back any moment with more Steeler Nation news. Here we go, Steelers, here we go.